Welcome back to Book Dive. We're kicking off the day with a deep dive that's perfect for that morning commute. A little knowledge boost, you know. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Today we're cracking open Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book, it's kind of like, when you finally figure out how to fold a fitted sheet? Mind blown. It's all about those small changes adding up to big wins in the long run.
Yeah. It's fascinating how Clear uses his own story to kind of kick off this exploration of habits. He was a promising athlete in high school, but a freak accident, a baseball bat to the face, left him with multiple facial fractures and a long road to recovery.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that sounds pretty intense. But what I found so inspiring was that even after that setback, he didn't give up on his athletic dreams. He focused on those tiny gains, those daily habits like sleep, training, and studying. And he ended up becoming captain of his college team, earned a spot on the all-conference team, and even snagged a place on the ESPN Academic All-America team.
Yeah, talk about hitting it out of the park. Right. It really challenges that whole overnight success myth, doesn't it? What we perceive as sudden success is often the result of, years of dedicated effort. It's those small, consistent actions that accumulate over time.
So it's like you just wake up one day and you're like, boom, an all-star athlete.
Right.
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
It's like building a brick wall, You don't just magically have a wall, you lay one brick at a time, and eventually it becomes this solid structure.
Oh, so instead of focusing on some far-off goal, like making the team, Atomic Habits is encouraging us to build systems. What's the difference?
Well, think of it like this. Winners and losers can share the same goal, let's say running a marathon. But what sets the winner apart is their system. Their daily training plan, their nutrition, their recovery routines. It's not just about the goal. It's about those consistent actions that almost make achieving that goal, well, inevitable.
So it's about building the right habits to support those goals. Now, this is where Clear's 4 laws of behavior change come in. He gives us a framework for making good habits easier to adopt and bad habits harder to keep.
Right.
Like breaking those bad habits.
These 4 laws make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And their inversions for breaking bad habits, they're packed with real-life examples that show how they work.
And these examples, they really bring it to life. Like that story about Japanese train conductors using pointing and calling. They literally point at and call out every signal, speed change, detail, to reduce errors. Sounds a little quirky, but it cuts errors by a whopping 85%.
It's a brilliant example of that make it obvious principle. By bringing that conscious awareness to a task, even something as routine as checking signals, they dramatically improve safety. It makes you think. How often do we go through our day on autopilot, missing those opportunities to make those small improvements?
Yeah, totally. Think about it. What's one small area in your life where you could apply this principle to make a positive change? Maybe it's laying out your workout clothes the night before to make that morning run more obvious, or prepping your healthy lunch the night before so you're not tempted by that, greasy takeout at work.
Exactly. It's about making those positive choices more visible and accessible. Another fascinating example is the Polgar sisters, those chess prodigies.
Oh, yeah.
Their father intentionally created a chess-centric environment, surrounding them with books and tournaments and conversations about chess.
And look what happened. All 3 sisters became chess masters. It makes you wonder, what kind of environment are we creating for ourselves? Are we surrounding ourselves with cues that support our goals, or are we subtly sabotaging ourselves?
That's a powerful question to consider. Remember, our environment plays a huge role in shaping our habits.
Okay, so let's talk about the make it easy principle.
Yeah.
This is where Clear's 2-minute rule comes in.
The idea is that you break down a daunting task, like, say, write a novel, into something ridiculously easy, like open my writing software.
I love that because sometimes we get so overwhelmed by, the sheer size of a goal, we don't even start. But if we can just take that tiny first step, it creates momentum. It's like tricking your brain into getting started.
Exactly. You're just lowering that barrier to entry.
Okay, and the last one, make it satisfying.
Here, Clear highlights a study in Pakistan, where they tackled the issue of hand washing with soap by making the soap more appealing, easy to lather, and pleasantly scented.
It's kind of like when you finally find that perfect pen that just glides across the paper, it makes writing so much more enjoyable. And in the Pakistan study, they saw a dramatic reduction in diseases because people were more likely to wash their hands.
It highlights the power of making a habit immediately rewarding. Our brains are wired for instant gratification. So if we can find ways to make those good habits, feel good, we're more likely to stick with them.
So we've got the 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. But there's another layer to this whole habit building thing.
Right.
That's
Absolutely. Atomic habits goes beyond just tweaking our actions. It dives into the power of identity change. Clear argues that lasting change happens when we shift our beliefs about who we are.
So it's less about, like, I want to write a book, and more about, I am a writer.
Precisely. It's about aligning our actions with the person we want to become. Clear shares this story about a friend who lost over 100 pounds by consistently asking herself, what would a healthy person do? This simple question kind of guided her choices throughout the day, from what she ate to how she moved her body.
It's like she was stepping into that new identity, embodying the habits of a healthy person. As you continue your deep dive into atomic habits, think about your own beliefs. Are there any beliefs that might be holding you back from the habits you want to adopt?
It's a powerful question to ask ourselves. Now, while identity plays a huge role, Clear also acknowledges the influence of genetics. We all have different predispositions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some people might naturally gravitate towards endurance sports, while others might excel at strength training.
So it's about playing to our strengths and working with our natural inclinations.
Exactly. It's not about comparing ourselves to others, but optimizing for our own unique potential. Now let's talk about staying motivated. It's one thing to start a new habit, but how do we stick with it? When that initial excitement kind of fades away.
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm.
Life gets busy, we get distracted, and suddenly that new gym routine or writing habit falls by the wayside.
Clear introduces this thing called the Goldilocks rule, suggesting that we're most motivated when working on tasks that are just the right level of challenging.
So not too easy, not too hard, but just right. It's like finding that perfect workout playlist. Enough energy to keep you moving, but not so crazy that you want to throw your headphones across the room.
Yeah. Exactly. If a task is too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we get discouraged. But when it's right at the edge of our current abilities, well, that's where the magic happens. We feel challenged, engaged, and ultimately rewarded. Think about, your own work or hobbies. Where do you find that sweet spot where you're most engaged and motivated?
Now, another key to sustaining motivation is to remember that it's not always going to be a smooth ride. There will be days when you feel like a productivity rock star, and days when you just want to hit that snooze button.
Absolutely. Clear emphasizes that professionals don't let their emotions dictate their actions. They have a system, they stick to it, and they show up consistently, even when they don't feel like it. Think about it this way. Have you ever seen a concert pianist walk off stage mid-performance because they just weren't feeling it?
Huh. That would be pretty awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about building that consistency, that discipline.
Yeah.
Stick to the plan, even when it's not glamorous.
Exactly. It's like building a muscle. The more we exercise that discipline muscle, the stronger it becomes. Now, another strategy Clear introduces is habit stacking.
Oh, habit stacking. That sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
It's a simple yet powerful concept. The idea is to link a new habit to an existing one. Let's say you want to start, meditating each morning. Instead of trying to create a whole new routine, you could habit stack by meditating for 5 minutes right after you brush your teeth.
You're using an existing habit as a trigger for the new habit. It's like piggybacking on that existing momentum.
Precisely. It's about making it obvious and reducing friction. Another important element is environment design. Clear emphasizes how our surroundings can subtly shape our behaviors.
It's like that saying, out of sight, out of mind. If we're trying to eat healthier, but our pantry is stocked with junk food, well, good luck with that.
Right. We need to set ourselves up for success by designing an environment that supports our desired habits. If you want to read more, make sure you have a comfortable reading nook stocked with books. If you want to drink more water, keep a refillable water bottle within arm's reach throughout the day.
It's almost like we're creating these invisible nudges to push ourselves in the right direction. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. Identity change, genetics, the Goldilocks rule, habit stacking, and environment design. What are some key takeaways you want listeners to remember as they continue their journey with atomic habits?
Remember that lasting change is about more than just willpower or motivation. It's about understanding the science of how habits work, designing systems that support our goals, and aligning our actions with the person we want to become. It's a journey of self-discovery and continuous improvement.
And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Start small, focus on one habit at a time, and celebrate those small wins along the way.
Absolutely. It's about building those small wins into a foundation for lasting change.
It's about those small, consistent actions building up over time, right? It reminds me of that quote, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Hmm. As you continue exploring atomic habits, think about what journey you're on, those habits that are going to move you towards the person you want to become. Now, James Clear also talks about this idea of finding the habits that are right for you, like finding your groove.
Yeah. It's about recognizing our individual strengths and inclinations. We all have different predispositions,
Yep.
different things that we naturally gravitate towards. Clear encourages us to experiment with different habits, paying attention to which ones feel the most effortless and enjoyable.
So it's not about forcing ourselves into some cookie-cutter mold.
Right.
It's about finding what genuinely resonates with us, those habits that feel more like a natural extension of who we are.
Absolutely. It's about playing to our strengths and finding those areas where the odds are in our favor and being open to adjusting our approach as we learn and grow. What might work well for us at one stage of life might not be the best fit later on.
It's like realizing that those skinny jeans you loved in your 20s might not be the most comfortable choice in your 30s. We change, our habits change, and that's okay. Okay, now Clear also gets into some of the, I guess, trickier aspects of habits, like how variable rewards can make those habits more addictive. He uses the example of slot machines. You never know when you're going to hit that jackpot, so you keep pulling that lever.
Yeah, it's fascinating how that unpredictability can make those rewards even more compelling. And it's not just slot machines, it's social media, video games, even junk food. They offer those intermittent rewards that keep us coming back for more, even when we know they might not be the best for us.
So how do we break free from those addictive loops? How do we cultivate habits that are truly satisfying and beneficial in the long run?
Clear suggests shifting our focus from the outcome to the process. It's about finding joy in the journey itself, not just the destination. It's about those intrinsic rewards, the feeling of accomplishment after a workout, the satisfaction of creating something new, the peace of mind after a meditation session.
So it's about savoring those small moments, those little victories along the way, instead of constantly chasing that external validation or those fleeting pleasures.
Exactly. It's about finding fulfillment in the act of doing, aligning our habits with our values, and cultivating a sense of purpose in our daily actions. What are those things that bring you genuine satisfaction? How can you incorporate those into your life more consistently?
Yeah, these are great questions to ponder as you continue your deep dive into atomic habits. One final point that Clear emphasizes is the importance of reflection and review. It's not just about setting habits and forgetting about them. It's about regularly checking in with ourselves, evaluating our progress,
Mm.
and making adjustments as needed.
Reflection allows us to course correct, fine tune our approach, and ensure that our habits are still serving us. Clear suggests scheduling dedicated time for reflection, whether it's a weekly review or an annual assessment.
So it's like having those regular checkups with our habits. Make sure they're still healthy and aligned with our goals.
Precisely. It's about treating our habits as living, breathing systems that require ongoing attention and care.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into atomic habits, remember that building good habits and breaking bad ones is a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate those small wins. And don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. And hey, if you're ready to dive even deeper into these ideas, be sure to check out that affiliate link down in the description to purchase the book. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what resonated with you most, so feel free to share your takeaways in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.